Now we will be talking about two-dimensional arrays in Visual Basic. It's one of the easiest way to define in the Visual Basic. You can simply say dimension, let's say data, I can give a name, say 2D, and let's say 3 comma 2 as integer, for example, right? And thus one is, that means let's talk about the first one is the number of rows, and as we know, the 3 is a maximum index, that's a row. So we have 3 means we have 4 rows, right? Index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So 4 rows. This is the rows, and this is the columns. So columns, that is the maximum index, we saw that before. So this index is 0, in 1 and 2, right? And so this is index 0, 1 and 2. All right, so if you want to assign a value, say here 10, you simply say data, it's a 2D, so I put 0 comma 0 equal to 10. Let's say you want to put a value 21 here. So then for that you have to say data 2D, the row index is 2 and the column index is 1. You simply say 21, right? And we go ahead, that's one way of assigning the values individually, right? And if you want to assign in one shot, right, in one shot, you can simply say data, dim, say I give data, just simply data, right? And if you want to assign, you shouldn't give this numbers, right? So you just simply say like that, as integer, and you simply give all the values in the row first. Say let's say 10, 11, say 13 and 14. So in this case you're gonna there are 3 columns, so this shouldn't be, the 14 should be there. That means we have 3 columns, right? So 10 and 13. So you give one more comma, then the next row, let's say 9, 6 and 5. So it's 9, 6 and 5. So we have, let's say if you want to, the next row is 2, 21 and 1, say for example. So it's just 2, 21, you already have 1. And then if you can also give one more row, let's say it is 8, say 3 and could be a 4, it could be anything, 8, 3 and 4, and then you close the parent brace, end brace, right? So this is one way, without giving the dimensions, you can declare the two-dimensional array like this. And so that's one way. You can print these values. You can print these values. For example, I'm going to just make it, remove this guy. You use a nested for loop, okay? For I, this is a outer loop, so it's 0 to 3, and for j 0 to 2, right? So this is the column. So you say, simply say print data. This print is a generic language, right? If Visual Basic, you say console.writeline. If it is a Java, you say system out.println. If it is C language, you say printf. So you can do, if it's C++, you say cout. So it depends upon the language, you use the appropriate printf statement. And here I'm going to say I, J. If you do it, it will print the values. All right. So if you see here, I have defined the array just like we defined a here. 9, 10, 13. It should be 10, 11. It should become up. So it's identical to what we defined. First row is 10, 11, 13. Second is 9, 6, 5, 2, 21, 1, 8, 3, 4. So that's what we defined. And our for loop looks little different, but not quite, not very different. We did the same thing, except we write there are two for loops. This is a nested for loop. All right. And if you see, I have two for loops, one for the columns and one for the rows, right? So as you keep the first for loop will print the column in a row, the row starting with 0, all right? And then for I equal to 0, if you look at this this example here, I equal to 0, so it will start printing j equal to 0, 1 and 2. That's what it is, right? Then once it prints 10, 11 and 13, it will go back to I equal to 1. Then it will print the second row, 2, 6, 5. Then as the I gets incremented, it will keep printing one row at a time. So if you run this program, you will see we have, we did a little bit of, we need some correction here. So you see this is garbage. The reason is we didn't put a space between each the print. So we can just simply say print space between each number that you print. Now if you see, it matches our 2D array, 10, 11, 13, 9, 6, 5, 221, 1, 8, 3, 4. See, it matches that. So that's how 2D arrays are printed. All right, one for the inner loop for the columns and one for the outer loop. So we can rename this I, this J and all that to columns, maybe columns. Appropriately, you have to change this column, and the I should be a row. So that's easy to remember, right? So let's name everything row. Yeah, so row starts with 0, column will continue from 0 to 2. Once the row is done for the first row, row gets incremented, row becomes 1, so it will print all the rows, all the columns in row 1, and it goes continuously like that, right? So that's a very simple way to define a 2D array. It's very identical. And the other concept here is for people who want to know a little bit of Visual C++, Visual Basic. Here instead of 3, you can say data 2D dot get upper bound. Your dimension is the first dimension, which is a row. Second dimension is the column. So it will give you the dimension, right? This is for people who are interested in Visual Basic concept. So basically this says how many rows do I have, and this says how many columns do I have. and that's the index it is, right? So if you run this program, you get the same results, right? So yeah, so that is the way you print and define a 2D array.